weekend, Tiger 3, the fifth film in the YRF Spy Universe, dropped in theaters, so let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your thoughts on Tiger 3. Now, as we head into this movie, I'm very new to the YRF Spy Universe. The first movie I saw in the set was Pathaan about 6 weeks back. And then going into this movie, I was able to watch Tiger 1 and 2, and then after watching Tiger 3 last night, I watched War, but these were all first-time watches, so I'm fresh, brand new to the entire universe, and I'm not familiar really even with the conversation surrounding the films, which ones, how they've been received, which ones people tend to like more than other ones. I'm a fresh new perspective on all of it. Ever since watching RRR last year, my wife and I have been trying to watch more Indian films, and so I've got a playlist right up here of some of my other reviews. We saw Leo together last month. I saw J1 a couple months back when it came out. With that said, let's go ahead and get started with the review. And I really enjoyed most of this movie. That for the most part, I got exactly what I hoped to get out of Tiger 3. And what I mean by that is, one of the things that kind of stands out about the Tiger films is that it is about this family. With the whole thing kicks off with the start of their romance, and then we have this spy family moving forward. And so when you're in your third movie with a set of characters that you've been growing to enjoy and appreciate their family dynamic, sending them off on another adventure, and specifically an adventure where the stakes, the villain motivation are so personal. They have all of these little elements, whether kicking off with the flashback of Zoya's childhood and how she's connected to our villain, and then how later on in life you had this intersection with Tiger that caused our villain to have certain feelings towards it. Like, you see all the ways that they're intertwined, making the stakes very personal. But the story is also global in scale and size, in the sense that we're talking about who's in charge of a country. We're talking about wars breaking out, framing people. And so it's very personal, but it's also very large scale at the same time, and in a way where the two sides to that, the bigness and the smallness, seem to go together really well. And because we care about these characters, because they've been established in previous films, you feel it, you care about it. Even along those same lines with our side characters, what happens to them, some of the choices they make, the revelations about some of them, you feel it because you care about them. Even like in the theater, there was multiple times my wife was like, like audibly making noise at shock, surprise at the twists and the turns, because we've spent time with these characters. We're connected to them, we care about them, and we care about their relationships to each other. So when certain things happen, you care about it. Of course, it is an action movie. You have to talk about the action. And it seems like with each movie, the set pieces seem to get bigger and bigger. And so there's plenty of just very cool moments, set pieces. Of course, the standout is when Pathaan shows up, that rescue sequence on the bridge. And it's not just that there's plenty of cool choreography when they're throwing guys around, and just the fun of watching two spies mow down armies of henchmen. Of course that's fun, and then you have bridges blowing up, swinging by cords, cables and stuff like that. Of course, that's all fun. Battling helicopters, miniguns, you got all of that. But the Pathaan character, Shah Rukh Khan, as just a performer, has just so much charisma and energy that you just feel the movie get a jolt of energy, a spark to it as soon as he's on screen, and just adds a natural playfulness, a natural silliness that goes against kind of the more straight-laced Tiger. the two together play really well together, and they amplify each other nicely. And they're doing cool, heroic stuff together. And anytime you got two heroic people doing stuff, it's just fun to see. But even beyond that, I mean, we start off with this big action set piece with a chase and a motorcycle driving up a bridge as it's exploding. There's also like nice little moments where they have Zoya in fight scenes and doing her kind of like throw the legs around the guy, spin around, but in the middle of throwing, the guy grabs two guns and it goes into slow-mo as she shoots. Like, that's the sort of fun action that you want in movies like this. Plenty of unique uses of slow-mo, not just as we're fighting, we pause to do the cool action shot, not just that we slow-mo a kick, but there's certain ones where they're like speeding up, slowing down in the middle of a long, wide shot and zooming in, slow-mo punch to the face, see the reaction, goes to normal time, but all in one shot. So just creative uses of the camera, of the frame rate being used to just do something interesting and different that's exciting as you're watching it. So in general, like on all of the levels I've discussed, that's everything I went to this movie to get. I was hoping to have some fun with our married couple and their family. I was hoping to have a story that was clear and kind of stuck in my mind, which I think we got that with this villain with a very personal agenda, and then wanted big, exciting, thrilling action sequences with plenty of cool moments. I got all of that. Where the movie started to frustrate me and lose me a little bit is, in particular, the last 15%, 20%, whatever it was, there start to be the twists and the turns and these character choices, and they got the shock, the sense of betrayal, like, oh no. Like, it got that, but in a way that at the end, I wasn't satisfied. It just felt like, oh, well, that's not really where I wanted that to go. That's not what I was hoping for. There's several things like that in the movie. And in that last 20% where they just reveal something, who was doing what with who and for how long, and you go, oh, man, well, that's... You did shock me, you surprised me, but I don't think it helps things overall. And then there was one choice that I can't discuss it without going into spoilers. So I'm going to go into spoilers in just a second, talking about a very specific plot point, character, someone that dies. Have to talk about it. So I'm going spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So in Tiger 2, you have the child bomber that is saved by Tiger, brought out of that. This movie reveals that they kind of became parents to him, trained him, raised him, paid for his education. He's brought on this adventure. He's helpful, he's useful. And then we get into the third act, and we get to a moment where he decides to sacrifice himself and says, you know, you saved my life, you gave me my life, time to repay that. And he chooses to sacrifice himself. I don't think I would ever be okay with that particular choice. The idea of the child sacrificing himself, at least, I don't know how old he's supposed to be in this movie, but too young to be the one that I would want to actually sacrifice himself and die. I don't think I'd ever be okay with that. But the way they specifically chose to do it felt very in poor taste to me. Specifically because the plot point was he was a suicide bomber. Tiger saves him from that, and then he dies as a suicide bomber, and sacrificially. I don't know how that plays elsewhere. The idea of someone heroically being a suicide bomber plays really bad to me as an American. Like, it has a very, like, I don't like that. Like, grab two guns and he charges in and starts shooting at them and gets gunned down, and I still wouldn't like that, but that's fine. Specifically making him a suicide bomber I don't know what connotations, I don't know how that would be, how it's interpreted elsewhere in the world, but it has really negative connotations. It as in the context of, this is someone that was a child that was put in that position and now does it later on. It plays very, very uncomfortable. But I don't know how that's taken. Perhaps you can give some context of how it's perceived of in India, elsewhere in the world. But having that plot point in that way would just like put a real sour taste in my mouth on the movie. Like, I really don't like that. Really, really don't like that. Which is frustrating because outside of that plot point, outside of the other kind of twist, reveal, betrayal that kind of happens in the third act, I got the movie that I wanted. I got more Tiger, and then more Tiger Pathaan team up, cool action, the family. I got what I wanted. There are just a couple of those choices in there that like end the movie on a sour note for me, which is really, really disappointing when you're watching a movie and so much of it is working, and then just choices are made that you go, ooh, I can't forget that. I can't just move past that. That's unfortunate. So overall, I still enjoyed the film, still works for me overall, but it definitely knocked itself back with just some of those choices that were made in the end of the film. So there you have it. That's my take on it. I enjoyed it, except for a couple of those choices at the end. Why did we have to do that? If you want to check out my other reviews, RRR, Three Idiots, Leo from last month, you can check them out in that playlist right over there. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.